keys rang hard in Luxembourg at morning. A bolt slid back against the stone. James Monroe stood in the doorway, pale with horror at what the prison had left alone. Paine rose slow with fever in his body, one hand against the wall to stand. A year before he'd moved the world with pamphlets. Now he could barely lift his hand. But Monroe spoke like sunlight through the darkness, said, America still knows your name. And for a moment Thomas Paine believed him. For a moment thought the world unchanged. Monroe's hand reached down into the grave. Monroe's hand pulled out what terror spared. The door swung wide in Paris, filled with daylight. The dead man stepped back out into the air. Monroe's hand was there. The fever stayed for weeks beside the fire. He drifted in and out of sleep. Monroe would read the papers from the Capitol, while Paine lay hollow in the sheets. France still spoke the language of republics. The banners had not fallen yet, and Paine still dreamed the revolution breathing, not knowing what it would become instead. Outside the room, the future changed its clothing. New generals arising from the smoke. And somewhere far beyond the broken city, an empire waited for a crown of gold. Monroe's hand reached down into the grave. Monroe's hand pulled out what terror spared. The door swung wide in Paris, filled with daylight. The dead man stepped back out into the air. Monroe's hand was there. A chalk mark failed to claim him in the prison. A fever failed to drag him underneath. History itself had tried to kill the man, and still he rose unsteady to his feet. Monroe's hand. The prison door swung wide. Monroe's hand. And Thomas Paine survived. For one brief moment all the world seemed open before another kingdom learned to rise. young general arrived with half of Europe trailing, smoke and cannon hanging from his name. France spoke his victories in crowded cafes, like salvation dressed in military gray. He welcomed Paine with warmth and admiration, said, "Your words still guide me through the fire," and smiling held up worn and folded pages of Rights of Man beside the candlelight. He said republics needed stronger shoulders to survive the knives of weaker men. And Paine still heard the language of the people in the promises he offered him. The general's pillow held a book beneath his head. The general's pillow held the words that Paine had said. And for a little while he let himself believe it, that maybe France still carried freedom's flame. But crowns grow quietly inside ambitions long before a man declares himself a king. Church is filled with velvet and with gold braid. The old nobility returned in newer clothes. The soldiers line the avenues in silence while Paris watched the long imperial road. Then Napoleon reached upward for the crown himself. No priest, no parliament, no people's hand. Then Paine watched all the language of the republic disappear beneath imperial command. One man alone beneath cathedral arches, one hand descending slowly toward the throne. And every ghost from every broken monarchy suddenly no longer seemed gone. The general's pillow held the book beneath his head. The general's pillow held the words that Paine had said. But now the bells were ringing for an emperor, and all the air had gone out of the room. The revolution wore a crown of gold now, and liberty stood silent in the pew. Washington refused the throne and offered, and gave the country back into its hands. Napoleon crowned himself before the nation and called it order once the deed was done. The general's pillow, the candle burning low, a book beneath his sleeping head. And somewhere in the dark a republic dying slow. The general's pillow. In Luxembourg, the nights were long as scripture. Fever moving slowly through his veins. The candle burned beside the prison window, like the last small witness still awake. He wrote of God without the weight of churches, without the throne and altar joined as one. No priest between the conscience and the Maker, no king declaring heaven through a crown. The walls were wet with names and dying breath. The corridor carried prayers into the stone. But Paine kept writing through the dark in silence. Certain truth could stand itself alone. Written in darkness, written against the fear, written while the blade was taking names outside, written when eternity felt near. If there is a God, he needs no kingdom, no bishops dressed in scarlet to be known. Written in darkness, a man in reason alone. He thought of all the pulpits built from terror, all the men who chained the soul through shame. How many wars were fought in holy language, how many pyres blessed in Jesus' name. He did not hate the idea of a creator, he hated every prison built from it. The book was not a war against believing, it was a war against the hands that twisted it. Outside the prison, history still convulsed. Inside, the fever would not let him rest. In every line he scratched against the paper felt like placing dynamite beneath the west. Written in darkness, written against the fear, written while the blade was taking names outside, written when eternity felt near. If there is a God, he needs no kingdom, no priest deciding who he leaves alone. Written in darkness, a man in reason alone. He knew the book would make the churches furious. No old friends would slowly turn away, but death had already walked beside him nightly, and fear had little love to say. Written in darkness, candle burning thin, one man alone inside a prison, reading what the world would never forgive him for. The book arrived in Boston in the winter. By spring the pulpits thundered with his name. Every preacher from New York to Charleston declared that Thomas Paine had gone insane. The papers printed columns thick with outrage. Old Ally suddenly forgot his face. The man who helped ignite the revolution was now warning spoken with disgrace. They said the French prison must have poisoned him. Said reason was the devil dressed in ink. And every church bell ringing through the country sounded like another friendship sinking. The firestorm rode from the churches to the streets. The firestorm turned old victories into grief. The country that once carried common sense and triumph now spat his name like something unclean. The firestorm was burning Thomas Paine out of the dream. The taverns grew quiet when he entered. The printers found excuses not to run. The men who once had quoted him in Congress now spoke his name with visible discomfort. Mothers warned their children not to read him. Pastors waved the book above their heads, and every sermon ended with the same thing, that they'd had chosen Satan in the end. He fought against a king and lived through terror, but this was slower, colder, more complete. A nation turning carefully against him, while still pretending he did not exist. The firestorm rode from the church ends to the streets. The firestorm turned old victories into grief. The hand that wrote the words at Valley Forge now trembled, watching every door begin to close. The firestorm burned hotter than the prison ever could. He had so high as the guillotine in France, but chalk mark and a fever let him live. But America would build a different scaffold, one made from silence and forgiveness, which for all the firestorm, the church bells and the aim, the firestorm and every silence in between, the man who wrote a revolution into being, watching it decide. what kind of country it would be. The church is filled on Sundays after rainfall. Black coats rising row by row. The minister spoke thunder from the pulpits about the man who'd let his soul go cold. The same hands that once passed common sense through taverns now pushed his newer book away. And every prayer for order in the republic seemed to carry Thomas Paine away. The atheist gospel, no church would let it stand. The atheist gospel, still burning in his hand. America chose Christ above the revolution, the Bible over liberty's old flame. And one by one, the voices that once praised him learned to speak of Thomas Paine with shame. Never said there was no hand that made us. Only God stood higher than the throne. No bishops standing guard around salvation. No kings declaring heaven as their own. But nations need their saints and sacred stories, need something waiting after death is done. And Paine had brought cold reason to the altar, where fear and faith had always ruled as one. No church would let it stand. The atheist gospel, still burning in his hand. The country that he helped call to freedom now looked upon him like a foreign thing. And every bell that rang across the nation sounded less like worship and judgment. Yet survived the kings in all their prisons, not the fear inside his country's heart. The atheist gospel, one man against the tide, still holding to his reason. ship pulled slow into the New York harbor. 6 years gone across the sea. Jefferson had written, "Come home, old friend, now. America still remembers what you mean." But the dock stood colder than he had imagined. No crowd waiting near the shore. The country he had helped to call to freedom did not seem certain anymore. Come home, a stranger. Come home alone. The streets still carried echoes of the old days, but none of them still sounded like his own. Come home, a stranger. The long war finally done, and find the world that once knew your name has learned to look away. The taverns grew quiet when he entered. Conversation stopped and then resumed. Newspaper men who once had begged for pamphlets now treated him like dangerous news. He walked the same old roads through Philadelphia, past windows burning warm at night, and wondered when the country he remembered had slipped so far outside his sight. Come home, a stranger. Come home alone. The men who built a revolution with him now kept a careful distance from his name. Come home, a stranger. The victory is all gone, and every mile of home beneath his feet felt less and less like home. You crossed an ocean searching for refuge, and found the same old fear, wearing new clothes. Come home, a stranger. Come home unknown. One hand still reaching toward the republic, the other learning to let go. Jefferson still smiled in painted portraits, still spoke of liberty in crowded halls. But when they asked him of his old companion, his answers barely answered them him at all. The letters came back slower every season. Invitations vanished into air, and Paine began to understand the truth now about the man who wasn't there. The man who wasn't there, the ghost inside the room, the friend who opened up the door to homecoming, then disappeared too soon. The man who wasn't there, while every door went closed. A president protecting his own future from the wreckage of his oldest friend. Philadelphia turned its face in silence. Printers found excuses not to print. Men who once had quoted him in Congress now avoided even speaking of him. And Jefferson moved careful through the Capitol, never cruel enough to fully sever ties, just distant enough for everyone to notice which side of history he chose. The man who wasn't there, the silence dressed in grace, the revolution's last surviving friendship, fading without a word. The man who wasn't there, while Paine stood in the cold, one man still speaking what he still believed, one man protecting his own name. No public condemnation, no final bitter fight, just absence slowly doing what enemies could not. The man who wasn't there, the empty chair beside him, the longest distance in the world, a friend who chose not to arrive. He wrote the letter, cold and unforgiving, no fever left to soften what he knew, while Washington still stood above the country like some untouchable Republican truth. Paine named the silence for exactly what it was now. The years he'd nearly died across the sea, while the man who owed him more than most men living said nothing publicly. Open letter to Washington. The last door closing shut. Open letter to Washington. No mercy left in ink. You stood beside me through the revolution, then left me to the prisons and the blade. Open letter to Washington, and every word meant war. He remembered frozen nights beside the campfires, the crisis papers passing hand to hand, the army holding on because the language gave exhausted men a reason still to stand. Now Washington was marble in the public mind, too sacred for the truth to touch. And Paine wrote like a man with nothing left to lose now, because he'd already lost enough. Open letter to Washington. The friendship turned to smoke. Open letter to Washington. The wound finally spoken. The country built a monument around him, while Paine stood outside in the rain. Open letter to Washington, and nothing left to say. He survived the guillotine in France, but not the silence of his oldest allies. Open letter to Washington. The ink drying black. One founder watching another founder disappear behind a nation's myth. He walked to cast his ballot in New Rochelle, old coat pulled tight against the rain. The clerks looked up and whispered among themselves, then asked him what country claimed his name. France had made him citizen years earlier, and now the land of liberty decided Thomas Paine no longer qualified. The right to vote denied at the door. The man who wrote of rights belonging to all men turned back like he belonged nowhere. The right to vote, one more gate closed tight, an old revolutionary standing in the rain. watching his republic pass him by. He argued calmly through the falling weather, said principles should mean what they declare. But nobody behind him wished to answer, and nobody in line would meet his stare. No prison bars, no sentence read against him, just silence settling over everything. The country barely noticed what had happened. That was the sharpest part of it. The right to vote denied without a sound. The man who taught a generation about freedom, standing unwanted on the edge of town. The right to vote, the irony complete. One old pamphleteer still carrying his principles back home through empty streets. The right to vote, the rain coming down, and nobody left to argue with but history. The candle burned beside the scattered papers, while winter pressed against the window frame. He still wrote letters to the young republic, though fewer people recognized his name. The printers mostly turned away in silence. The taverns no longer argued what he said, but Paine still held the pen like something sacred, long after almost every friend had fled. The last pamphlet, one more argument in ink. The last pamphlet, still refusing not to speak. The man who helped to set the world in motion, now writing mostly to himself at night. The last pamphlet, and still he would not yield. Outside the room, the country kept expanding. New roads and churches stretching towards the west, while Paine sat nearly forgotten by the people who once had carried common sense upon their breath. But age had not removed the old conviction. If anything, it stripped it down more clean. One man alone still arguing with the nation about what liberty should mean. The last pamphlet, the ink running slow. The last pamphlet, still burning faintly in the cold. No crowds remaining now, no bells, no banners, no Congress waiting for another page. Last Pamphlet, an old revolutionary, still speaking through the dark. Last pamphlet, the nearly finished flame, one hand still moving through the candlelight, signing Thomas Paine. He died in June with rain above New Rochelle. No crowds gathered at the door. No Congress sent its mourning resolutions. No church bells rang for him anymore. 6 people stood beside the narrow graveyard, while the wet earth swallowed up his name. The man who helped give birth to revolutions, lowered down without a claim. 6 at the grave, 6 beneath the rain. No monuments, no marble waiting for him. No country stepping forward to explain. 6 at the grave, and history moving on. The man who wrote of rights belonging to all men, buried almost alone. Then years later, Cobbett crossed the ocean to carry Paine back home across the sea. He dug the bones up from the quiet farmland, certain England still remembered what he'd mean. But the monument was never built in London. The coffin passed from hand to hand unseen, and somewhere all that physical remained of him was simply lost between. 6 at the grave, the empty coffin lid. The man who once shook kingdoms with a pamphlet, reduced to scattered relics no one kept. 6 at the grave, the silence settling in, and even death could not decide exactly where Thomas Paine belonged. And somewhere lost beyond the reach of memory, the bones of Thomas Paine. The body vanished somewhere into history. The coffin lost the way it meant to go. No monument rose over Thomas Paine. No nation claimed the bones below. But words survive in ways that men do not now, still moving hand to hand through time. The arguments outliving those who made them, like sparks refusing still to die. What remains when the man is gone? What remains when the friends move on? A pamphlet in the hands of some young stranger, a question no republic fully solved. What remains? The argument remains. Some speak his name like warning still, and others like something half remembered from a war. Some call him prophet, some call him destroyer, and history cannot settle it at all. The churches stand, the governments keep changing. The crowd still gathers shouting about rights. And somewhere Paine and all his old opponents still argue through the centuries at night. What remains? Not the flesh and bone. What remains? Not the earth and stone. The fear of kings, the hope of revolutions, the old world and the new world unresolved. What remains? The argument remains. To men by nature, and what belongs to history.